What's going on guys, Josh here, and in this video I wanted to go through how I would take a $50 per day budget and start to analyze the data that Facebook gives me, but also start to make decisions on whether or not I can start to scale or start spending more money on Facebook, or if I need to just turn things off. So if you guys are new here, welcome back to the channel. My name's Josh and I'm a 7-figure entrepreneur who loves all things e-commerce, productivity and personal finance. Sit back, relax, make sure you take a lot of notes, and let's go straight into it. So I'm going to show you guys right away my theory, right? So in this video right here, I went about and showed you guys how I would go and structure my Facebook ad account if I was to go and start again from zero. If I only had $50 to spend per day, how would I structure my prospecting and how would I structure my retargeting campaign? After that's all set up, I guess the question is, well, Josh, how do I know what to do next? How do I know when to spend more money on these ad sets? How do I know to turn them off? Or what do I do from here? I just don't know. So that's what this video is for. Now, I will just preface this and say that there are so many variables, right? So I'm going to give you two situations, right? And I'm going to give you the theory behind it and how I would go about doing it and show you a live example as well. So let's go in with scenario one. The scenario one, okay? So in that video, we talked about having two ad sets, right? So we had two ad sets, ad set one and ad set two, and each had 3 ads, okay? Now, let's say, for example, that in this scenario, in this campaign where we were testing audiences, all 3 of your ads and both ad sets were just performing amazingly, right? They were just super profitable. They were just, everything was just doing great. What we would want to start doing is, okay, so these are all doing good, right? What we want to start doing is if these are spending $20 per day and it's been 3, 4, 5 days, right? Generally, I like to wait around the 3-day mark, and with iOS 14, it doesn't hurt to start, just leaving it, right? And letting it run. If it's profitable, just leave it, don't touch it, right? But after 3, 4, 5 days, if it's profitable, what I would actually start to do is start to increase the budget by only about 10 to 20%. You don't want it to be too crazy here. Increase the budget so each day it starts spending $22 or $24, right? Depending on you. The risk factor is completely on you, right? And do that for both ad sets, and then wait another 3 days. Review the data, see what's happening. Is it still profitable? Do you need to turn them off? And how do you know when to turn things off? If it's spent about 2 times your target cost per purchase, right? Based on your KPIs, right? How much you spend, how much you sell it for, all these kinds of things. Now, if you don't know your KPIs, guys, I'll just recommend you guys to pause the video right now. In the description below, there will be an Excel spreadsheet that will help you calculate these KPIs, and these are super important because you can't make any reliable decisions based off well, no data, right? You need to know these KPIs, and the KPIs are specifically relevant and unique to yourself. So you need to know these numbers. This is the first scenario, right? If everything's doing well, everything's doing swimmingly, right? You're starting to spend a little bit more, and then your retargeting campaigns that were $10 are going to start spending as well, and those might be getting sales as well. Now, what I would start doing is having a look at more audiences. I'll start to horizontally scale, but this scale word, right? And I'm just going to debunk this. Scaling doesn't mean, you just scale to 0 to 100,000 per month right away. You just want to go slowly, right? Because the fact of the matter is, you and I as a regular person, we might only have certain amounts of budget available to us, or we don't have reliable logistics systems, right? Customer service, all these kind of elements that go into scaling that aren't really talked about, and maybe they're just not on point. So we just want to go slowly to whatever we can handle in our situation there, okay? What we want to do is, in this scenario, is we want to set up another campaign. So exactly the same. So campaign 2, and this is still prospecting, right? So we would want to go about and set up another ad set 3 and ad set 4. And this depends on you guys. If you can only spend an extra $20 per day, that's fine too, right? Just focus on the one ad set, right? $20. And then use these 3 ads and duplicate them down here, right? So that there'll be A1, A2, and A3, okay? And then you just let this run for another 2-3 days, right? And then you review the data. If it's spent 2 times your target cost per purchase without much, without any signs of purchases coming, like add to carts, initiate checkouts, and if your CPC is just so high and your CTR is really low, then just turn it off. There's no need to continue to get emotional and spend, right? And you just don't need to do that, okay? So that's what you would want to do. Now, let me show you scenario 2, right? Scenario 2. Let's say we're going to have ad set 1, let's say 2, right? A1, A2, A3, A1, A2, A3. Now let's say in this scenario, right, only A1 got you sales in both campaigns, right? In both ad sets. And this one was your UGC ad, right? UGC. And the ad 2 and 3 for both ad sets just weren't performing. They spent 2 times the target cost per purchase. There were no add to carts. There were no initiate checkouts. Just turn it off, okay? Just turn these off because there's no need to get emotional with it. Now, if these were getting you, 2-3 purchases per each, right? Then we need to start to think, okay, great. Now we have an audience, right? Like, let's say this is dogs, right? And this is cats. We have 2 audiences with one ad style that works. Now what we would want to start to do is look at more creatives that work with this audience, right? So this is another phase that I go through, and this is phase 2, right? Phase 2 is all about creative testing. Now, what phase 2 is primarily focusing on is having a look at that first ad, right? That first ad was a UGC. Let's say, for example, I was talking into my phone, talking about this Apple Pencil. Let's say, oh, I love this Apple Pencil so much, blah, blah, blah. Now, what you would want to do is take that same kind of style, that UGC style, maybe have someone else record a video about how much they love your product, right? Or change the scenario. If I'm in my office here, change the scenario to somewhere else, like outdoors or whatever. Start to speak a little bit more, but you just want to have that similarity between what has already been proven to win, right? So this UGC, you have your dogs and your cats, and what you would want to do is set this up again, and depending on you, again, no pressure in terms of how much you spend per day. What I would do is set up a new ad set for the same audience and have my UGC, my UGC1, my UGC2, and UGC3. Right now, just duplicate that over the 2 ad sets. Okay. The reason why I want to do this is because, okay, the UGC is shown that it will win, right? What we want to do is leverage that and start to find more winners, more winning creatives. Because if we just focus on this first ad, right, and we try to scale that, or we try to spend a little bit more money, there is such thing as called ad fatigue, right? People, your customers and the people in this audience will start to see that ad continuously. And if you don't freshen things up, they're going to start to become familiar with it, and they're not going to click on it anymore. They're going to just scroll straight past it. So that's why we want to make sure that we have multiple ads, right? We want to keep things fresh. We want to keep their attention engaged, right? We want to give them different angles in which this product can benefit them. So that way you just improve the chances of conversions overall, right? You don't put all your eggs in one basket, for example. You do this and then just repeat the process. And let's say, for example, all 3 win, right? All 3 win. That's great. Then you just start spending a little bit more. Again, 10 to 20% increase per day. Per every 3-4 days is fine, guys. When you're getting started, you don't need to be worried about all this profitability and all this kinds of stuff. You want to preserve your profits. You want to preserve that revenue that's coming in, and you don't want to make sure that you just get too excited, spend a lot, and then you're just in the red, and you're just going to have a bad time. And finally, I will talk about another third scenario, and this scenario is pretty much where you've got your ads running at $20 per day. You let it spend $40 per day for 3 days, right? And you've spent about $120. Let's say, for example, you have your ad set 1 and then your ad set 2 and your 3 ads, A1, A2, A3, right? A1, A2, A3. And let's say, for example, after $120 spent, these are just $60, no purchases, no anything, right? This is where red flags and red sirens should be kind of going off, and alarm bells should be going off in your head. This is where, it tells you did something wrong. Or whether your creative wasn't any good, your headline wasn't any good, your ad copy wasn't any good, maybe the audience that you're targeting isn't any good, or your landing page isn't any good, right? And generally you can have a look at your CPC and your click-through rates, right? Your cost per clicks and your click-through rates to get an idea of whether it's the ad problem, right? But if those look good, if your cost per clicks are low and your click-through rates are high, right, but then you're just not getting any sales, then it tells you your landing page is the problem. But or if your CPCs are really bad, like really high, and your click-through rates are really low, it tells you your ad is the problem. So there's two scenarios here, right? So if that's the case, right, generally speaking, you should kind of stop everything, turn off all ads, revert back to, okay, the basics. Who am I targeting? What kind of messaging or what kind of language do they use? Why do they want this product? You need to go back to those basics and make sure, really have a think about why it didn't work, right? Really start to pick it apart. And you can ask questions down below in the comment section and I'll answer you and let you know what I think. But generally speaking, there is a reason why there's no sales, right? There has to be a reason, and it's not because of Facebook. Facebook is just a tool for your message to be transposed to all of the customers out there. If Facebook, if you go and automatically blame Facebook, it's a flawed thinking, right? So that's like the third scenario. Okay, look, just go back to the drawing board. Now that I've shown you these two scenarios about, okay, how do I find new audiences to test and how do I find new creatives to test, let's go into my computer and let me show you exactly how I would do this in a real life example. Okay, so now we're back into my ad account right here, and you can see that we've got our phase 1 testing and our retargeting, right? Now what I want to show you is how I go about and do all of these scenarios, right? How do I go find more audiences, or how do I test new creatives? In this particular campaign right here, you're going to see that there are 6 different ad sets, right? And since then we've had to turn it off because this is not our main account, right? We don't need it. But this is a perfect example of scenario 1, right? Just finding new audiences because all 3 ads were working. You can see here that from this ad set and this ad set, this is where I started off, right? We were spending $20 per day, and totally we've spent about $520 each, right? Now these both were working really, really well. But how do I know this? Because my break-even ROAS was 1.6. If you have a look at this ROAS column right here, and let me just zoom this in. If you have a look at this ROAS column right here, guys, you can see I had a 3.5 and a 3.2. Right? Amazing. Okay, so now that we know that all of these ad sets were profitable based on our KPIs, remember how I said we want to start increasing spend, right? Just because we want to see if it's been spending for a little bit of time, and most of these have, right, $520 spent each, it's been spending a decent amount. So I can be comfortable and know that yes, this profitability is real, right? It wasn't just flukes. So I can start to increase the spend. These other 2, right, that have only spent $32, maybe it's a little bit too premature to start increasing spend right here. But for these other 2, what I'll actually go about and do, next to the budget section, right, there's this little arrow or this little pencil. What I would go and do, and I would just increase it by maybe 10%. So $22, right? Increase the spend, okay? And then this ad set here, which was performing really, really well after $520 of spend, increase the spend again, right? By 10%. Now, after I've increased the spend by 10%, I would just let it sit, especially with this iOS 14, guys. You know, there's attribution issues, there's all kinds of issues, right? So I don't want to rock the boat too much. Just increase the spend by a certain amount, up to about 25%, depending on, you know, what your circumstances are. But that's what Facebook has told me, right? My rep has told me, hey, if you spend more than 25%, what happens is your ad set actually goes back into learning. So all of the previous learning that was there, it will have an effect, but you're going to cause some instability in your results. That's why we only want to increase it by up to 25%. So for me, I only go up to 20, just because I don't want to rock the boat too much, because if we're profitable, I don't want to do anything to remove that profitability. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, guys. So if you guys remember that scenario 1, what I want to do now is have a look for new audiences. Now with ABO, you know, you can just put it in the same campaign. It's fine. That's what I did here. But you can see what I did was I had a look and I started creating this one, this one, this one, and this one. Right? Let me just click off all those. So you can see the ones that are highlighted, these are the ones that I started to test. And what you can see is after spending, you know, after 1 or 2 days of these running, the first 2 performed really, really well. My ROAS was 2.6 to 7.8, right? But what happened was the other 2 ad sets that I started testing, right? It was 0, right? After I had spent $53, I had gotten 0 purchases. Therefore, that $53 was gone. But that was 2 times my target cost per purchase. So I just turned it off. Now this other one, this $220 one, what I saw that yes, it was performing, but it started to decelerate, right? It started performing really well at the beginning, but at the end of it, after letting it run for about 10 days, it's only gotten us 3 sales. So I was just like, hey, look, it's below my break-even ROAS. I need to turn that off. Now we can go further, and we can go and have a look at these two, and let's have a look at the ads, right? But there's a little bit more that I needed to do, I think. Right, for this ad set here, you know, after spending $53, 0 purchases, there's no question about it. It just needs to be turned off. But how about this ad set here? Why did I leave it on for so long, right? Why did I leave it on for 11 days to get only 3 purchases? Maybe there's something more here. So let's go have a look at the ad level. So we're at the ad level here, and we can see that out of the 3 ads that were performing, right, or that were running, only 1 performed. So in this situation, after spending so much, what I would have done is actually turned off the first ad, right, because it's below my break-even ROAS after spending 2 times target cost per purchase. And this ad here, I would also turn this one off too, because it was underneath my break-even ROAS. Do you guys see how important it is to start to understand why that KPI is there? Without this KPI, guys, I wouldn't have known. I'm like, oh, I'm spending this much, I'm getting sales, why do I need to turn it off? But I wouldn't be profitable. And look, if you're not profitable in your business, then there's no point in being in business. Okay, let's just be clear, right? So at this point, what I would have done is started to just let that $20 funnel all the way through into this one ad. And then my scenario 2 comes up, right? What I would do is have a look at this one ad. What was it that, you know, performed really well? Was it because there was let's say theoretically the ad was me looking into the screen like this, right? Maybe I would change it so I'm over here now. Or maybe I'm looking at something else, like I have my phone and showing you something, right? I'll be kind of reiterating the things that were working and then put that into a new campaign, name it phase 2, send it to the same audience, and then start to look at new ads that would work. I would only need to do that if we're in this scenario where 2 out of 3 ads didn't perform and only 1 performed, right? Because with this audience, I wanted to make sure that I don't put all my eggs in one basket. So I hope that makes sense, guys. You know, it was very difficult to give you guys my theories and kind of walk you through it, because every product is going to be different, right? Whenever I run ads, I never just run ads, you know, just because, right? I want to make sure that my ad copy is good, my creative is good, and my headline is good. Without those elements, and if I don't know my KPIs, and if I don't know my landing page is good, I would not be running ads. So again, you know, I hope you guys took this and start to apply it in your business. If you're getting some sales here and there, great. Let's drill a little bit deeper. Let's find out which ones are winning, why it's winning, and then start to make iterations off that to really start to improve your results and improve your profitability. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a fun one for me to show you a live example of how I would go about and do this and turn off certain things or let things increase, right? Okay guys, so that is all the time that we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one and appreciated the fact that, you know, I talked about my theories as well as showing you a real life example, right? It's not easy for Facebook marketers or people who are online to show you guys, you know, what would they do or what should you do, right, after you set up a structure. The reason for this is because there are so many different levers and different variables that come into play, right? Whether it's your ad copy, your headline, your creative, or your landing page, or the fact that you don't even know your KPIs, right? There are just so many variables that come into what should I do? What should someone do? Jumping into Facebook, learning this is so crucial, right? And there's just so many different scenarios that come into play. And it's only through practice, taking things slow, really understanding how all of this works, it starts to become second nature. Oh, I know that, you know, my target cost per purchase is like $30. So if I've spent $60 without any add to carts or initiate checkouts, or my CPC is too high or my CTI is too low, then I just need to turn it off. But that's come second nature for me because I've done this for many years. But I hope you guys re-watch this video, kind of go through the logic behind it. Why do I do certain things? And if you have any questions, ask me in the questions below, guys. I'm more than happy to help you. And each scenario is different, so don't just try to do what I do here and make it work for you, because it might not, and that's okay, right? That's okay, because everyone's situation is different. So ask the questions below. Let me know how you enjoyed this one. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you know when I'm dropping another video next, and hit that notification bell, right? Just so you get those notifications. But I hope you guys are having a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.